After cooking, this parcel may be opened directly before the guest on their table. Note, in both methods, herbs, seasonings and spices are added before packing. I hope the concept of steaming is clear to you. Now let's move to our next method, which is stewing. Stewing is a slow and long method of cooking in which food is cut into pieces and cooked in a minimum amount of liquid. Here, the food is served with the liquid. Such food, which is served along with the liquid, is also called a stew. For example, chicken stew. Next, we have braising. Braising is another method similar to stewing. It is also a long, gentle, and slow cooking process. In this method, food is first sautéed or seared in a very small amount of fat or oil to brown its surface and enhance its flavor. Sautéing is a type of frying that we will learn during the dry heat methods. After sautéing, a certain amount of liquid is added, usually a stock, and then finished in an enclosed container, usually in an oven, and like stewing, it is served with that liquid, which is reduced to very little. An enclosed container, like a covered pan, casserole, or cocotte, can be used. Also note one thing, this method uses both dry heat, as food is first sautéed in fat or oil, and moist heat, as later cooking is finished in liquid. Example is on your screen. Now, what is the difference between braising and stewing? The key difference is the cuts of meat. In braising, we use cheaper and larger cuts of meat, while in stewing, smaller and uniform cuts are used. In stewing, meat cuts are totally immersed in liquid and finished on the stovetop. In braising, a small quantity of liquid is used, which is reduced further, and braising is usually finished in the oven. Please note, in both cases, a tight-fitted lid should be used during cooking to retain the juices and the flavors. Also, some people consider braising as pot roasting, which we will discuss in the latter part of the video. Now we have covered our moist heat methods. Let's move to the second category, dry heat methods. In dry heat methods, heat is transferred through hot air or fat or oil. These methods are suitable for foods that are rich in proteins like meat, fish, and seafood, as well as where a crust, a brown outer appearance, is desired. The dry heat methods are further classified into two groups. First, where oil or fat serves as the medium, and second, where hot air is the medium of cooking. First, let's take into account the method using dry heat or hot air. In this method, hot air, a hot metal rod or plate or radiation, is used to cook food. For instance, baking, grilling and roasting. Baking. In this method, food is prepared by dry heat, typically in an oven. Temperature normally varies between 120 to 250 degrees Celsius. Here, no additional fat is required to cook food. Some examples of baked items are cakes, pastries, breads, muffins, etc. Next, we have grilling. Grilling is cooking by radiant heat or direct heat, which could be from above, below, or from the side. Best suited for pork chops, seafood, hamburgers, hot dogs, and other thin cuts, since the intensity of the fire is high. The food which is to be cooked is put on a grill or grill pan. Based on the direction of heat, it may be of three types: overheat, underheat, and in-between heat. Overheat, when the source of heat is below the food, that is, food is over the heat, then it's called overheat grilling. As you can see in this picture, it is an example of overheat grilling. The grill bars which are under the food are preheated and brushed with fat or oil to avoid sticking food on the grill bars. Underheat, now if the food is below the heat source, then it's called underheat grilling. In the United States, such underheat grilling, where food is grilled below the heat source, is called broiling, and the pan which is used for broiling is called broiler pan. An example of overhead grilling equipment is salamander. Salamander is the equipment used for broiling. In between heat. In this, the heat source is on both sides and food is placed in between, the way bread is grilled in a bread toaster. Further, there is also a similar term to grilling, that is, barbecuing. Sometimes the terms are used interchangeably. The very difference is that grilling is cooking food hot and fast near about 260 to 290 Celsius, whereas barbecuing is cooking at low heat and quite a slow process, usually 110 Celsius or lower. For cooking, you can use various methods or techniques for preparing varied food dishes. For example, steak and hamburgers are best if grilled, French fries are fried, Muffins and cookies are baked and soup is boiled. So one needs to have a basic idea of which cooking method is right for which kind of food item. I mean, one cannot prepare cookies by boiling or frying. Neither can you grill French fries. So in this video, we are going to discuss different methods or techniques of cooking. Types of cooking methods. The first category is moist heat methods, and the second one is dry heat methods. Now let's discuss them in detail. Moist heat methods. In this method, a liquid is used as a medium to conduct heat. Generally, water is used, but one can also use water-based liquids such as stock, sauces, milk, or steam. These methods are specifically appropriate for preparing pasta, rice, pulses, and vegetables. The different types of moist heat methods are boiling, simmering, poaching, steaming, stewing, and braising. Boiling. Boiling means cooking the food in boiling water or water-based liquid such as milk or stock. As many a time, the liquid used is water-based and the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So it is advisable to keep the temperature at 100 degrees Celsius. Boiling is most relevant to vegetables. Please note, in boiling, the food is completely immersed in the liquid throughout the entire span of the cooking time. In boiling, one can see several bubbles on the surface of the cooking utensil. Generally, vegetable soups are prepared this way. Now, similar to boiling, we have simmering and poaching. Simmering. If we cook the food in liquid just below the boiling point, roughly around 85 to 95 degrees Celsius, then it is called simmering. Temperature is kept just below the boiling point, but it is never allowed to boil. High-protein foods like meat and poultry fare much better when simmered. Poaching. In poaching, the temperature is kept roughly between 70 to 85 degrees Celsius. It takes experience and practice to keep the temperature constant so that it neither simmers nor starts boiling. For example, eggs may be poached. Steaming, as the name suggests, is cooking by steam under varying degrees of pressure. For instance, low-pressure steaming or at atmospheric pressure. Low-pressure steaming. Here, steam is used under normal conditions without any extra pressure, meaning at atmospheric pressure, the temperature will range from 100 to 105 degrees Celsius, which is just above the boiling point. Such steaming could be of two types, direct steaming and indirect steaming. Direct steaming. Here, the food comes in direct contact with the steam heat. Usually we prepare rice cakes like idli or dumplings like momos this way. For example, this is a steamer. In the below portion, we have boiling water, and in the upper compartment, we place our momos in direct contact with steam. Indirect steaming. Here, the food is placed in a closed pan which is surrounded by plenty of steam from the fast boiling water, and the food is protected from direct contact with steam to avoid water getting into the food. Take the same example we took in the case of momos. If we close the holes of the upper compartment and close the upper lid tightly, or with grease paper or aluminum foil, then it will not allow the steam to get in touch with the food that is placed in the upper compartment. A chocolate pudding is usually prepared this way. Next, we have high-pressure steaming. Here, equipment that doesn't allow the steam to escape is used. As the steam is not allowed to escape by the equipment, the temperature inside the equipment increases, causing thereby the cooking of the food. Such a method also results in lower cooking time. As we see in a pressure cooker, we generally cook lentils and legumes this way. Now, there is one more popular and modern method of steaming sous vide. It is a French term that means under vacuum. In this method, food is vacuum sealed or packed in a plastic pouch or glass jar. Later, that sealed pack of food is cooked in a water bath. Water is hot, but never boils. Temperature is usually kept 55 to 60 Celsius for red meat, 66 to 71 for poultry, and higher for vegetables. As food is cooked at a lower temperature, it is a slow process of cooking, which may take from 1 hour to 7 hours to cook food. In some cases, it may take up to 72 hours or more, depending on the type of food and its thickness. As food was vacuum sealed, steam is trapped inside the plastic pouch or glass jar, which evenly cooks the food and retains its moisture and nutrition. One more traditional method similar to sous vide is en papillote, which is also a French term that means enveloped in paper. In this method, food is put into a folded pouch or parcel and then baked. A pouch or parcel is usually made from parchment paper, which can withstand normal baking temperature, but other materials could be used, such as aluminum foil, paper bag, and in some Asian regions, banana leaves are used. This method is more popular for cooking fish. In stewing, meat or food is completely immersed in water, while in braising, some amount of liquid is required. And in pot roasting, a very small quantity of liquid may or may not be required. Full roast is pot roasted, or you can say use a whole piece of meat. Steaks and similar cuts, like short ribs, are braised. Cubes and dices are stewed. But in my opinion, braising and pot roasting can be used interchangeably. One more method is left in roasting. The tandoor. In this method, a clay oven called tandoor is used. The source of heat is at the bottom of the tandoor, but the heat gets distributed evenly due to the clay. Additionally, it provides a smoky flavor to the dish. Well, this was all about roasting and different methods of roasting. Frying. Now let's move to the second category of dry heat method using fat or oil. Here, fat or oil serves as the medium of cooking and is known as frying. Frying is an art of cooking where the food is either partially or fully submerged in fat or oil until the food gets golden brown in color along with crispness and a moist interior. The varied categories to frying are sautéing, pan frying, shallow frying, deep frying and stir frying. To have a fine understanding of these methods, please tap on the I button above. And a link is also provided in the description below. There, I described the complete frying and frying techniques in detail. Now, some people also consider radiation cooking as a modern method of cooking. In radiation cooking, food is cooked via the energy waves emitted by the other object in terms of electromagnetic radiation. In cooking, we usually follow two types of electromagnetic forms, infrared radiation and microwave. In the market, you will find many infrared ovens which work as multi-purpose appliances. You can cook a variety of dishes with different cooking methods like baking, grilling, roasting, etc. While microwave ovens are very popular for defrosting and reheating pre-cooked food or meat. You may also find ovens which work on both types of electromagnetic radiations, that is, infrared and microwave. Now do note one thing, in my opinion this radiation works as a heat source. I do not consider these as methods of cooking. To gain a full understanding of the concept, go and check my video on heat transfer methods. A link is in the description. Well guys, that was all about cooking methods. I tried my best to cover all the methods available and also compare similar cooking techniques. If you know any other cooking method or technique, comment down below. And guys, it took a lot of research and effort to animate these videos, so do hit the like button. Stay tuned on Hospitality Broadcast. Barbecuing is generally done with indirect heat as compared to direct heat in grilling. Charcoal and wood are commonly used heat sources for barbecuing, so grilling is cooking fast over high heat, while barbecue entails a slow cooking process with low heat and over indirect heat. Please note, here, fat may or may not be added to the food while cooking. Next we have roasting. Roasting refers to cooking food with radiation from a heat source, such as an open fire or spit. Additionally, now we also opt for oven roasting, which is a combination of convection and radiation. For more details on heat transfer, watch the video on different methods of heat transfer. Next, we have spit roasting. In this, the food is cooked over a spit or open fire in direct contact with the flame of a clear, bright fire. During roasting, the food is slowly rotated over the heat, and cooking takes place with radiant heat and convection of air, all depending upon the position of food over the fire. Usually large meat joints are cooked by this method. The more modern version of spit roasting is rotisserie. In this, the meat is skewered onto a metal rod that slowly rotates automatically in front of the heat that is produced either by electric filaments or by gas burners. Next, we have pot roasting, which is more suitable for larger joints or cuts, especially of beef. The meat is first sautéed or seared in a little butter or oil until it gets a golden brown color. Then it's placed on a bed of root vegetables, covered in a deep pot without any, or with barely any, liquid. The pot is tightly covered and the meat is cooked gently. Pot roasting may be done in a pot or pressure cooker, in a brat kettle, and may be finished in an oven. To pot roasting is poling. In poling, meat is placed inside a closed container in melted butter. No liquid is added. As food is cooked in an enclosed container, moisture will be retained and food gets cooked in its own juices. In poling, two terms are widely used: en casserole and en cocotte. En casserole is where food is cooked only in butter without vegetables. Once finished cooking, meat is withdrawn and served with brown stock in an earthenware utensil. In en cocotte, the procedure remains the same, except the meat is garnished with vegetables cooked separately in butter, such as small onions, mushrooms, etc. Now, what's the difference between pot roasting and poling? There are two major differences between pot roasting and poling. In poling, meat is not seared or sautéed before cooking as in the case of pot roasting. In poling, butter is used as the main liquid to cook meat. Now, many of the professionals also get confused in three terms, that is, pot roasting, stewing and braising.